It is time to update some technicals on Bitcoin, Tesla, and NVDA. I will also give a small recap on SPY, QQQ, and IWM. Today's a big day. Not only are we kicking off another week in the markets, but it's also the first day of back to school for me and my two oldest daughters. The youngest one, it is her 14-month birthday today, so pretty incredible. Let's get into the charts for you here. So let me just take a quick moment, and 3, 2, 1. Man, that was suspenseful. Here it is. SPY. Here are the technicals that I've been putting up. If you've been watching my channel, you've seen these that have been on here. We hit the first price target of 553. I upped it to 556. If we can fight through this resistance, we can get all the way up here to 565. And then up above that, which I talked about the timing for this, I would say that this price target 3 would be by end of year. We'll say that we could get up there. Now, mind you, it could happen sooner. We can most definitely continue this big run that we get going. I do think with all this resistance up here that we're going to have a fair amount of retracement coming for us. We do have a gap to fill down here. On the Qs, when we look at that, again, it got a little bit of a gap there, but in this support area, and look for this free float area to really hit for us. Maybe we stay up above the 50-day, and the technicals are suggesting for SPY, bullish, for QQQ, bullish. And then when we go over to IWM from there, we will look at this. We got this high top wicks, but we are flirting with the top of this. And this white line here is the top of a bullish channel that goes, I don't know, 10, 15 years long. It's a really, really long time. We have this resistance area up to the top that if we're able to get through that, I think we're going to find ourselves up here at 217 in the very near future. And then up above there, if we do continue to recover, I think that we could find that 220 to come out for IWM as well. Now, for the big stuff, for Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin, check this out. We got an area of resistance that I'm price targets out here. Yeah, I'm going to be cooking those up for everyone, but we do have some pretty strong support all the way down to about 55,000. So be on the lookout for that. That's what you have. This first resistance, or I'm sorry, support that we have here is about 57.3. And then that, like I said, that goes down to about 54.8. So that's the range that we're looking for support. And then we have a lot, and you might be able to see some of these more minor lines that are in here, and then much more major support down here that happens to be right just south of that 50,000 mark. So it takes us all the way down to about 49.5 up to 50,000. Resistance to the upside, you can see we're getting those wicks in there. You can see all the moving averages. We're currently below the near-term moving averages and the 200-day. So that means that for Bitcoin, at least on a daily basis, we're in bearish territory. So we're looking for where that support's going to settle for us. And then we also want to keep an eye on the momentum indicator, the RSI down here, to continue to tell us more about what we can expect for the movements coming up for Bitcoin. So I think Bitcoin's going to keep looking for where that floor comes in for us. Maybe it happens here at the support, then we can start looking for a ceiling again. Moving over to Tesla. Tesla's had a great couple of days to it. So here's the daily chart that we're looking at. So for Tesla, I'll put up the full markup for you. Right now, it's still pretty noisy with not a lot on there. So rather than give you all that noise, right now, the RSI is above 50. So if we can stay up above these moving averages, we have the 13 about to cross the 50, about to cross the 5. This could be upward pressure with these faster moving averages crossing above the slower moving averages. And especially if we can hold at this 50 that's up here, then we can possibly continue to see that momentum. Now we do have, you can see from where these candles are here, where we found support before, where we found this bit of a pause and then a further drop, and now we find these wicks. There's significant resistance that's in here, but if we're able to break up above that, we can soon find ourselves at about $229 to $230 per share for Tesla. To the downside of that, we really want to be watching for this 200-day at 203, and then just south of that at 200. And then if we fall down below 200, then we get to look for things around 185. So keep that in like a generalized part of your mind, and I will bring the specific numbers to you very soon, likely in my next video, the one that I put out this afternoon. I even have another video that I'm working on, by the way, a scenario that I hear a lot of with some pretty niche details that go along with it. I had somebody put a comment out there for NVIDIA saying about how they're positioned for NVIDIA. Now, mind you, I never ask these things. I will never ask you what you have in terms of number of shares. I might ask, hey, would you mind sharing percent gain or percent loss? Especially usually a percent gain if somebody has a big win or something like that. I'm like, hey, well, what was the percent win on that? That's kind of a cool thing to know. But I don't really ask those personal details outside of that. But this person disclosed how many shares they have. They disclosed that they're in margin. And I said to them, I said, since you made this a public disclosure in my YouTube comments, would you mind if I made a video about it, and he said go for it. So that's another one of the videos that I have talking about how to handle NVIDIA coming up to earnings, especially given that specific scenario. Not financial advice. It's just, some ideas to kick around for just things that can be done with the shares that you have and what can typically happen near earnings and everything. So I know this chart is noisy, but pay attention to the price targets here. Price target, I said 125. We hit it, and then I said we will be looking for where that floor is in here in this little free fall area. So as we look for that, watch for 122-ish to hold up for us for that floor. Maybe we get down there, maybe we don't. If we do hold up at 122 for a floor, we can take another run at 125. And if we can break 125, we actually have a fair amount of green lights up to 130, maybe a small stop by about 128 or so. So look for the floor in here. I don't know that we get all the way down to support, but we can. Look for that to happen in here, and then watch for that push to the ceiling to see if we can break that 125. That's a very good likelihood for what can happen for us. And these price targets that I have on here, I think these are very good for what we could see for a range between now and earnings. And we could also find ourselves, if we do happen to fall, just to give the other side, just in case I'm wrong on this, on the other side of this, if we break down through that critical support, we have a small amount of support right here at 115 to catch us. Right around 110 is even bigger. 106 is going to be huge for us. And then 98. Now, mind you, I don't expect to see that, especially leading up to earnings. Following earnings is going to be massive, though. Wherever we land, it's going to be interesting. Maybe it's around this critical support. Maybe it's going to be a fair amount north for us if we come in high, expecting that there is significant resistance up above there. But if we smash through that, if you look up just north of that, we have 143 up to 147. And then we have this free area. A lot of people talk about 150 as a round number. It's really nice. That happens to be about in the middle of these two resistance bands that we have in here. So 155 would be the bottom of that next one. So if we do go to the upside, if it does go massive, look for these free flow areas to be hit that are up in here. And if we do end up in those areas, we could probably ping them. We could probably hit our heads on the ceiling of that, if you will. So looks like for Tesla, because they didn't put the direction on it, we're kind of leaning on the bullish side of things right now, but we got to be cautious about the area that we're at to stay there. The RSI is not much above 50, and we're also just barely above the moving averages. We just need to stay north of those and keep that momentum going, and we're good. And then for NVIDIA, we're well into like smack dab in the middle of bullish territory. Well up above 50 enough to be like, hey, this is solid bullish momentum, down far enough below 70 that we're keeping away from that overbought status. So we could have still some upside coming for us for NVIDIA if we can hold out, especially if we can find that floor in here pretty soon and then really go back on and test for the ceiling. The ceiling is probably going to push a little bit higher than the floor, but we're going to have to watch and see exactly what comes out for us. So that's the take that I have for you. So keep on lookout for those markets. The markets are currently flashing bullish, and so we'll see if we can stay there, especially if the floors hold out, and we can keep on putting pressure on the ceilings for those, but just be cautious around this time. It still is a very volatile time for us. Bitcoin, short term, looking a little bit bearish, looking for that floor. I think we're going to find it, and we'll see where we bounce to next. And then I already gave my take on Tesla and NVIDIA. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to check out my buys and sells, be part of my community, see my technicals before they hit YouTube, there's a link for the Patreon down in the description. And if you guys want to learn to do technical analysis like I do, there's also a link for that down in the description. Go ahead and click on that, sign up, and don't forget about using the code word Dr. D-O-C-T-O-R. It's going to be absolutely huge for capitalizing on some massive savings for that course. Thanks again, guys. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning, and we'll see you in the next video.